Here's my review of Leo. This movie I thought was surprisingly good. I mean, when I first looked at it, I thought it looked cheap. It looked kind of generic. I mean, okay, so Adam Sandler, I got a complicated history with him because as a kid, I absolutely loved Adam Sandler. I loved his movies to death. And then as I gotten older, even rewatching them, just some of them aren't as funny. Even though I can appreciate, I think some of his dramatic acting is actually like very underrating, like how he is in something like like Click. He's actually like really good in terms of dramatic acting. And as for his humor, I think is actually really hit or miss. But I thought that this movie was surprisingly good. Maybe because it's just such more geared towards kids, he wasn't allowed to go so over the top in a way that made it unfunny. So I thought that it actually worked to its favor. And the basic premise of this movie is we're following this lizard named Leo, who is just a class pet in this elementary school classroom. And he's been there for he's like 70 years old and he believes that he is going to die soon. So he wants to escape so then he can get to the Everglades so he can experience his life before he dies. And I thought it was surprisingly really good. I mean, you care about this lizard, I think, and you care about the side characters. The side characters are in the main kids are honestly the best parts of this movie. And so the basic premise is in this classroom, their main teacher gets pregnant, so then they have to get a substitute teacher. And every single weekend, they have to take the lizard home with a different kid. And in doing so, we learn more about these kids, and it's just very interesting. And like I said, you realize how long that Leo has been here. Like right there, it says 87, but I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the movie, he got here in like the 60s or 50s. Like that's how long he's been here. And it's like just kind of depressing to think about, but I thought it was handled in a pretty good way. 1949, that's when he got here. Wow, that is a long time. So you kind of realize how old he is, and because he's so old, he actually knows a lot about all these kids. And even though he's never left the classroom really, he's just kind of knows a lot about people because he's alive for so long. So he's basically able to be this therapist to all these children. And that's basically the main plot of the movie. The lizard is the therapist to the kids. That's basically what this movie's about. And I thought it was done in a really well done way. Like with each weekend, like a different kid gets the lizard, and eventually, finds out that it talks. And he kind of just because he's so old, he kind of is giving more knowledge, and he's kind of helping these kids, whether like with their some personal problems and like getting them out of their shell. And I thought that it was just pretty good. I mean, you get to learn more about these kids and which makes the ending of the movie feel more important. And I thought it was just a very solid, above average kids movie. And another thing, like with this movie, is like I said, in terms of the comedy, I thought this movie is actually pretty funny. I mean, there are some jokes that are like really bad, but then other of them, gonna be like, oh, Adam. And like I said, it's just a simplistic premise of just kind of seeing this lizard as this therapist to these kids. And it's interesting because you learn about these kids, but you also learn more about Leo himself because he's so old. Sometimes he talks about how long he's been around, and he talks about what he likes, doesn't like, how he feels, his emotions. And it's just very interesting. Also, there's a quick little Godzilla reference that was pretty fun. And like with each kid, you kind of learn more about them, and you learn about why they are who they are. And I don't really think they're anything particularly memorable, but they serve their purpose quite well, and they allow you to never really feel bored because they're just written in a way to be very endearing. And it's just fun just to seeing Leo kind of interact and kind of help these kids. It's just quite a fun movie. I will say, in terms of the turtle, I don't even really remember his name, but like, he doesn't really have that much to do. He's basically just there because he's jealous because all the kids pick Leo instead of the turtle. And he's not really there. Like, he kind of like has this arc of how he's jealous of him. Then he kind of comes around. Like, you kind of know that's going to happen. But it's nothing like, he doesn't really serve that much. He's more just to kind of, I don't really know what he's even there for. Basically, just to make us feel bad for him. And like I said, with each different character, you learn more about them personally. Like there's the snobby rich girl who's actually not that bad. Then there's the more kid who doesn't really talk that much. And there's just a lot to learn. And just they're just fun to be around. And also the way that the kindergartners are designed in this movie is just hilarious. They look so creepy and disturbing. It's kind of funny, which just kind of adds into how annoying they are in this movie. And I thought that was pretty well done there. I thought that was really funny. Although this does kind of lead into the classic like liar revealed because he tells each of the students like, "Oh, I only talk to you. I've only ever talked to you." And of course, it's going to eventually kind of get out. And it's like with any liar revealed trope, it's just like you know what's going to happen. It always feels like, bruh. It's just like really because it's just so predictable and you know what's going to happen. It doesn't really have that much emotional weight. But I mean, it was good for what it was. And you also get to learn more about this substitute teacher. I mean, like, who a lot of the students don't really like. And then when he eventually talks to her, of course, she's super shocked too. And like I said, it's just this whole movie is just you learning about these characters and just kind of spending time with them and feeling bad for Leo. And because of the whole lie reveal like plot, everything towards the end kind of feels rushed. He goes to the Everglades, which was his main motive. Like his main motive is he's trying to actually use the kids to escape into the Everglades, but because he ends up kind of caring about them, he kind of stays. And he eventually does get there after the whole lie reveal like plot, because the course of the movie, of course, he thinks that he's going to die, and then the ending is revealed. I mean, like because I believe he said he's like 80 something. He's like or 76 or something like that. At the end of the movie, he's like, "Oh yeah, lizards, iguanas live till like they're 120, so you're fine," which kind of makes the whole movie like so it didn't actually matter. But I mean, I think it's just because they wanted to give it a more of a happy ending. Which I mean, I'm like, okay, I think it's fine. But overall, all the heart and soul of this movie is actually just the kids themselves that he's spending time with and just getting to learn more about them. Like one who has like a super overprotective parents and is like super high tech and rich. One's who's more snobby. It's just learning about these characters that it's just a really fun time. And yeah, overall, I was pleasantly surprised with this movie. I thought that it was really good. I don't think it's amazing. Not the best movie of the year, not the best animated movie of the year, not the best Netflix animated movie of the year. But it's just a solid, good movie. And in terms of like movies that I've seen this month, like for November releases, I mean, I honestly think I enjoyed it more than Thanksgiving. And I liked Thanksgiving quite a bit. So, I mean, I'm giving this movie a lot of praise. And maybe going into it, you might feel disappointed because maybe it's not as good to you. But I just think it's very simplistic. And I just thought it does its job well. Overall, I think that it is a very solid film.